Alrighty, turkey time in the PPL. Thanksgiving is upon us. Week 12 is upon us, ladies and gents. Getting ready for PPL action. But before we get into Week 12 and turkey time, let's recap Week 11 action. The Mean Machine takes sole place in the Alpha Conference and the number 1 seed as they defeat the Argonauts 149 to 136. Only for the boss leaves no doubt, scoring 173 points to the United players 90. Squad underestimated keeps their Alpha Conference title hopes on respirator as they defeat the Baby Gas team by 1 point, 146 to 145. Patty's Twins gets another win as they defeat the newly christened Skulls 143 to 74. And Appease the God shows that they're the kryptonite to the Gaff attack, defeating the Gaff 117 to 101 to break the league's longest winning streak. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and on top of all of the Week 11 action, let's congratulate our Week 11 leaves no doubt player of the week, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, all hail the Chief, as Mr. Hill went off in this matchup, scoring 43 points on 10 catches for a eye-popping 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also adding big plays all throughout the game to keep the Chiefs in that Monday night game. Segueing us into our first matchup, as Only for the Boss takes on the Mean Machine. Alrighty, Week 12 is here, and we're here with the number 1 team in the Alpha Conference. The Mean Machine got the big win over the Argo last week to set them out front in Alpha. Now, this matchup here against the Boss is it's not very consequential for the Mean Machine. Of course, they need to keep pace to keep the number 1 seed. But looking at this matchup, it screams the Mean Machine. I mean, I don't know how much of a preview that really needs to be done based on this matchup. Now, Tyreek Hill did get the Leave No Doubt Player of the Week for Week 11, but none of the Chiefs are going to be in play in Week 12. And I don't know if many of the Boss's replacements are going to be able to get the job done. Now, he will have LaShawn McCoy and Ben Roethlisberger. But, I mean, there really isn't much to really be said about this matchup. The Mean Machine leads the league in scoring at the moment. And they are the league's most dangerous team based on those metrics. Now, there will be no Kareem Hunt on their side. But I really like Phillip Lindsay and Matt Breida. I think they're both fine running backs, and I think that they both will do a decent job. That being said, I've got the Mean Machine winning this matchup relatively easily. I got the Mean Machine winning this matchup 134 to 72. I'm sure the Boss will make a few adjustments, but I don't know if it's going to really even matter. Moving on to our next matchup in the PPL, we have the Gaff Attack taking on the United Players, the Destroyers. All right, the Gaff was unable to defeat Appease the Gods. ATG got the sweep on the Gaff, and it dropped the Gaff out of the number 1 seed. So they now sit in the number 2 seed, which, for them isn't really make a difference because the Omega Conference title is there. Now, there will be no Todd Gurley this week. He got a little nicked up in that matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm sure that kind of slowed the Gaff down because they were 16 points from a win. If Gurley has his typical kind of day, he probably ends up beating ATG on Monday night. Unfortunately, that just didn't go down for the Gaff. Now, they continue with the Baker Mayfield start. Not a bad start. I think that Bake's got a lot of potential. And he's on a team that's going to allow him to flourish. The Gaff also did a good job, I thought, earlier in the season, going after guys like Marlon Mack and Sony Michel there in pass-first offenses, but get a lot of goal line work. So I like the Gaff's plays there. Zach Ertz, obviously, that was probably the first game that he played poorly, and that's probably because Carson Wentz played so bad. Now, on the other side, the United Players get Tom Brady back. They were eliminated from the playoff discussion last week with that loss to the Boss. So the United Players aren't, they're in this one to play spoiler. The Gaff at this point, they're only playing for playoff seeding. I don't know if this matchup is of any real consequence. Putting that all together, though, the Gaff Attack is the better team, and the better team should win. I've got the Gaff winning this matchup 134 to 99. All right. Moving on to our next matchup. In the interconference game of the week, we have Patty's Twins taking on the Baby Gas team. All right, we got Patty's Twins. They rolled to a big victory last week, put up a nice, healthy score of over 130 plus points. And it was because Aaron Rodgers, he showed up that Thursday night. He had some beautiful throws, made some big plays, and got the Twins off to a solid start. And everybody else finally played their roles, whether it was Keenan Allen or Antonio Brown. They both got in the end zone. Kenny Golladay is a guy who's continuing to emerge. In fact, Golladay is the reason that Golden Tate was traded. He makes Tate expendable. And we're going to get a shot at a look at Kenny Golladay right out of the gate tomorrow on Thanksgiving. I really like that matchup because Marvin Jones is going to be out of that matchup. And so will Kerryon Johnson. So I think that they're going to be throwing the ball down the field a lot. And I think they'll be behind against the Chicago Bears. Now, on the Baby Gas team side, they continue to have a team that is capable of beating anyone any week. They just can't seem to get the wins. Robert Woods nearly brought them back in that Monday night game, but Squad Underestimated was able to hold them off. They're playing out the stretch as well. Both of these teams are. This is all really about draft positioning for next year and things like that. Patty's Twins has a very, very good projection this week. I don't see why we would disagree with that. I like Keenan Allen against the Cardinals, and I really like Tevin Coleman against New Orleans. I think that game's going to be high scoring. So that being said, I've got Patty's Twins winning this matchup 132 to 119. I think the BGT keeps it close. Moving on to our next matchup in the Omega Conference, we have Appease the Gods taking on the Skulls. Alrighty, ladies and gents, here we go. Appease the Gods and the Skulls. This matchup is a next year award bowl, so obviously ATG is going to want to play for their pride and keep themselves out of last place. Now on the Skull side, they're playing the matchup. They're just trying to find the right combination to get a respectable score. They've had a hard time scoring over the last few weeks, and a lot of it has to do with their dependence on the Philadelphia Eagles. They've went with 2 Eagle receivers, and those receivers and the Eagles themselves just have not been very good. Now, it looks like this week they're going to switch things around and try some more combinations. I like the Calvin Ridley play, and Jarvis Landry, I think, is always a solid play just because I feel like he and Baker Mayfield are going to eventually connect and get to the next level as a 1-2 punch. Now, on ATG's side, breaking news, obviously, a big trade coming out of the PPL. Appease the Gods, who was soliciting trade offers for Drew Brees, has sent Drew Brees to the Argonauts for Carson Wentz and Julian Edelman. That obviously gives ATG help at the receiver position, and it also supplements them with a strong keeper selection at quarterback. So they knew that they weren't going anywhere this year, so they have an eye towards next season in keepers and draft positioning and things like that. They do have the better team on paper here. They do seem to like Lamar Jackson a lot, and he has a great matchup, so maybe we will see Lamar Jackson get in the lineup for ATG, or maybe they go with Wentz. On the Skull side, I like the Jameis Winston play. I think that that's going to help keep them in the game, and Dion Lewis. And it should be good, but I don't know. I think that ATG probably wins this matchup. I got ATG winning this matchup 110 to 105. All right. Segueing us into the prestige matchup of the week. We've got Squad Underestimated taking on the Argonauts. All righty. Squad Underestimated won a big matchup in a high-stakes situation. That was a must-win for Squad, and they kept themselves alive by pulling off that win. Now, in this matchup, they're going to need to defeat the Argonauts to keep the Alpha Conference dreams alive, and they're going to need a miracle from Only for the Boss or a loss by the Mean Machine in next week's matchup to win the Alpha Conference. The Squad Underestimated is in position to still win Alpha. Kirk Cousins didn't play well in that night game, but he played well enough to give Squad Underestimated a healthy enough lead. Saquon Barkley had a huge day, as was predicted last week. He's just a man amongst boys. He's becoming more and more impressive by the week, and he's a guy that earlier on we were wrong about. I said that I thought he would struggle as a rookie. I thought that he wouldn't be able to have a good yards per carry average, but he's completely blown that out of the water. So respect to Saquon Barkley for that. Peyton Barber is a decent play. I don't know if it's a great play. The 49ers run defense was solid. Their pass defense is really their weakness. And then, of course, you get the Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins connection against Green Bay in a Sunday night showdown. Now, on the Argonaut side, they did trade for Drew Brees. They made a costly error starting Carson Wentz, which probably cost them the Alpha Conference title. So I guess they're looking to rectify that position by sending Wentz and Edelman over for Drew Brees, who has been their quarterback for many, many years. So looks like Brees is going to go back into that spot. Obviously, Elliott and Connor, Jones and Adams are, locked in as the top 4 starters. Where things get interesting for the Argo is at the flex position. I mean, they can go with A.J. Green, Nick Chubb, or Aaron Jones. So they have a lot of options. And then adding Drew Brees with Jared Goff, they'll have options down the stretch. This is the main rivalry matchup of the Thanksgiving weekend. The squad underestimating the Argonauts have played each other every Thanksgiving. So this matchup is like a Cowboys-Lions kind of matchup in the lore of the PPL. That being said, this matchup is actually going to set up well for the Argonauts. They're going to look to get back on track after that loss to the Mean Machine last week. I've got the Argonauts winning in the prestige matchup of the week, 138 to squad underestimated's 132. Alrighty, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed PPL Live. Kind of had a quick edition today. It's a short week, so I hope everyone is enjoying times with their families. Alrighty, so everyone be safe. Have a safe, long weekend, and may the odds be ever in your favor.